Okay, we done part A in the last video. It's the bearings question, and we're going to look at B this time. It's also for 4 marks, and we have to calculate the bearing as it travels from point C to point A. So let's recap the last part. You'll need the answer to part A to then do part B. Go watch the last video if you want, or pause this and have a go at this, but I recommend, if you've not watched the last video, please watch it. But essentially what we found is that this distance AC is 286 kilometers. So that's AC, but we need to know the bearing from C to A. This was the sketch we had last time. So if it's from C to A, it's a bearing and it's got to go round from the north along the line until it reaches the line towards point A. So this line towards the point A, you start north, you go along until you get to this point of the line, and it's this angle. So we said that C is due east of B, so this tells us that this angle is 90 degrees. So if we can find this angle that I'm shading in at the minute, this is angle capital C, we can do 270 minus this angle C, and that gives us the final answer. Let's figure out if we should use the sine rule or the cosine rule, and for this I'm going to sketch it out again. A, B and C. So we know small c. I explained the convention about the letters in the last video. Make sure you understood that. But we know this, and we want to find this. We also know this, and we know this. You could use the sine or the cosine rule technically in this question, but I'm going to use the sine rule because we've already done loads of examples of the cosine rule, and I would say the sine rule is a bit easier to understand. But essentially what we have is, we found this angle capital B, and we found the side B in the last question. So we have a pair of opposite sides and angles, and we have small c the side and capital C the angle opposites. So we can apply the sine rule. If instead you decided that you wanted to use the fact that we know all of the sides because we're given 2 lengths in the question, we found the third one in part A, you could use the cosine rule to then find the angle C, but I think the sine rule is much easier to use, and because we've done so many examples of the cosine rule, I want to show you this with the sine rule. So the value of b would be 286 of lowercase b. On the denominator, that's going to be sine of 117 is equal to c is 180 divided by the sine of c. We will now have to do some rearranging to get sine of c on its own. If I multiply both sides by sine c, I'm going to get 286 sine of c over the sine of 117 is 180. If I then multiply both sides by sine 117 and then divide by 286, I'm going to first multiply both sides by the sine 117 and then divide by 286. And then we're going to put this into the calculator and be very vigilant that you use degrees and not radians. So you're going to put this in and you're going to get a value for the sine of c. It won't directly give you the value of the angle c. You'll then have to figure that out. So it's 0.56073. We'll take the inverse sine of that and we get the angle C is 34.1093 degrees. We can say that C is 34.1 to 1 decimal place. Because having 4 decimal places is possibly a bit too much. Now there's no direction given on rounding, so I think 1 decimal place is the best option. But we have to find the bearing, and I told you at the start of the video the bearing would be 270. Take away that angle C, and bearings always have 3 digits before the decimal point. So that is 270 degrees. Take away 34.1 is 235.9 degrees. And that's us finished. So I hope you found this video useful, and this is one of the more challenging questions that you will come across in the exam. But best of luck with the studying, and thank you for watching.